All right. Hello. Welcome back to the Streamlined CEO podcast, where your host, Karalee, that's me, talks all about streamlining your operations, removing bottlenecks to expand your capacity, and get back to doing what you love. Not stuck in the weeds. That's always the goal, right? Today's episode is all about the top tools that I use and recommend to streamline your operations if you're a service provider or a coach, okay? If you're not a service provider or a coach, these still might be beneficial, so go ahead and keep listening. But I primarily work with service providers and coaches, so I've tried many tools over the years, including over 40 project management systems. All right, here on a side note, if you like to visually see podcasts, I also have a YouTube channel. Head on over to the Productivity Impact and listen to the Streamlined CEO podcast, where you can see me waving my hands currently. All right, so let's dive in because you're ready to streamline those operations now, aren't you? All right, so tool number one. All right, my top tool is 120,000% ClickUp. Okay, 100% ClickUp. Like I said just a few moments ago, I've tried over 40 project management systems, and I hands down love ClickUp the most. Free reign to use what works for you, but definitely don't spend the amount of time I did. I'm talking over 6 months figuring out which software works best for you. All right, but that's part of me being this type of business owner, right? So let me take the time to figure out the things, and then you just implement the things, right? All right, so we're going to go back to story time, though, because I didn't just land on ClickUp by chance. I was actually introduced to ClickUp as one of my very first project management systems, and I hated it. I mean, absolutely hated it. It was overwhelming. I couldn't find anything, and I was wasting so much time of my already limited time, okay? Fast forward to a year and a half later, and I'd already tried so many other software and loved some of the other ones, but as my business was growing, those tools didn't grow with me, or I just didn't like them, right? Because they weren't complex enough, and I needed to grow my business in an agency style. Most of the time, I'd say the less complex tools, the better, but sometimes the more features, the better, because they're there when you need to scale and implement them. That's what's really important. Okay. Trust me, it's much easier to mentally and time-wise to learn the basics of a complex system in the beginning and add in additional features when you need them. All right. Compared to learning multiple systems and needing to move to a more robust one in the middle of growing your business, taking on new clients, etc. Okay. Much harder to move systems in the middle of scaling. All right. We don't want to do that. So if you're looking to learn the basics and set up your ClickUp in a way that works for your brain and your business strategy, right? That's very important. I have options to support you here. Okay, so let's connect by going to the show notes and filling out the work with me form. All right. So I'm definitely a ClickUp enthusiast. Can you tell? Definitely the top tool that I recommend. All right. So we're going to, like I said, we're going to go across 3 tools today. They're my top 3 tools. So tool number 1 was ClickUp. Absolutely hands down. Tool number 2 is, while ClickUp is my top tool for managing multiple clients in an agency for tasks and progress, there's a tool I recommend for streamlined communication, because communication is like my number one thing when it comes to anyone on my team, when it comes to clients, everything. Okay. And that is Slack. As a service provider or a coach, this software is so helpful for group programs and communicating with clients and your team. I know you may be asking, but like, why can't I use Messenger or email or maybe even things like Telegram or Voxer? All of those are okay. All of those are absolutely okay. And I'm going to tell you why I landed on Slack, even if it costs me in the long run. All right. So all of those tools and resources are absolutely amazing. And still, until you start having a lot of communication, a lot of tasks or important things to remember, that's when some of the features of Slack come into play and support you in another way alongside ClickUp. So my 2 favorite features that make it worth the switch alone, okay, just these 2 things make it worth it, is audio messages with transcripts, okay, or the saved for later with reminders. So it's almost like 3, but we have the audio messages and transcripts, so you can still read it technically if you're on a space where you can listen. And then the saved for later is like, hey, I need to address this, and I don't want it to get lost in these messages. So it puts it in this nice little spot where you can go back to it. And then you can also set a reminder. So it'll pop up a reminder on your phone or your computer and tell you, hey, you wanted me to remind you of this again. It has saved me so many times, and so I totally love this feature. And the amount of times that I would have lost things in so many other communication platforms, especially like my email, like my email is a hot mess. But anyway, it'll get like flagged, right? And I can find it later to either put it in a ClickUp or simply take action then. All right. So that's what I love the save for later and the reminders, because it doesn't get lost. Now I know you can also put labels and things in your email. I just don't like email as much. Plain and simple. So if you love email, you do email. If you love Voxer, you use Voxer, whatever you're using. And I encourage you to just give Slack a try and just see how you like it. Another thing though, before I hop onto the third tool, is another thing that I love about Slack is that you can set notifications to automatically disable during certain times. So you can keep those boundaries that you've set for yourself. And if I haven't convinced you to try Slack to streamline your communication, that's okay. And I really encourage you to go check it out just to see for yourself. All right, just to see for yourself. All right, so tool number 3 that we're going to hop into today. First tool was ClickUp, second tool was Slack, and third tool is actually Moxie for freelancers. Okay, so the final tool I'm going to go in today, because I use this one every day as well, like I said, is Moxie for freelancers. You've probably heard of software like this. It's called Honeybook, Dubsado. There's like 17 Hats. There's a whole bunch of different ones, but this is something similar to those. All right, but currently half the price. So this one is actually the newest tool in my toolbox, but it's one of my favorites. It's like up there with ClickUp and Slack, hence why it's in this podcast episode. But like these 3 are the 3 that will streamline your operation so fast that you're not going to know what to do with your extra time. Ask me how I know. Okay. Now, Moxie can be used for far more than I'm going into today, but the biggest things I love are contracts, forms, invoices, there's time tracking, we have client portals, meeting scheduler, and workflow automations. All right, so basically I was paying for tools separately that cost me more than this one, and it's all in one spot. All right, so sometimes we just need to consolidate things down, which will make it more efficient, so we're not going all over the place to find things, right? So I use this to automate project inquiries, retainer client portals, scheduling meetings, onboarding clients simply in an insanely hands-off way in some cases, but everything is still personalized, okay? I want to make that very known. It can still be very personalized. And since implementing the software, I've easily saved myself a couple hours a week, okay? That's just by implementing ClickUp, Slack, and Moxie for freelancers has absolutely saved me a ton of hours a week. We're talking at least 10 hours a week from how things were going before. All right. So if you want to try out Moxie for freelancers, you can actually head to the show notes. There's my affiliate link down there and you can get 30 days for free. Same with ClickUp is also down there. You can try it out. There's a free version that's very robust and then you can upgrade when you need it. All right. So, and the ClickUp, the Moxie, they are both affiliate links. And then you also have down in the show notes the work with me form if you are like, I want some support in some capacity with implementing and streamlining these systems. So, all right, for these service providers and coaches, that's it for the top 3 tools I use to streamline my operations and free up my time to focus on what I love and not get stuck in the weeds so much. If you'd like to learn more about how I can help you specifically use ClickUp, leverage the power of Slack for communication, and potentially slash your admin time with Moxie for freelancers, or any other operation opportunities, okay, or operations opportunities, then head to the show notes and fill out the Work With Me form. There we can chat about your business goals and see if we're a good fit to work together. Remember, you don't have to waste months or even years trying to figure out the right tools and systems for you. Let's get you streamlined and back to doing what you love. All right. Thanks for joining me today on this episode of the Streamlined CEO podcast. I'll catch you next time.